Hello, I'm Luciano Ruas from the Brazilian Accent Improvisation, and today I'm gonna talk with you about a different subject. I'm gonna count you a little bit of my story and why I decided to teach the Brazilian accent in improvisation. I am now 36 years old and I'm from São Paulo. If you don't know São Paulo is one of the greatest cities in the world. It's a metropolis, and it has the city of São Paulo has 12 million people living in it. It's so urbanized. Many people out of Brazil think Brazil is just forests and natural environments, but here's the financial center of Brazil, and it's just in the scale of big cities in the world. It's one city, little. It's lower than New York, just one of the greatest cities in the world. It's in the southeast part of Brazil, and I'm gonna talk about why when I decided to play. I started playing the keyboards when I was 11 years old, and I was so interested in playing boogie woogie, rockabilly. I watched the movie Great Balls of Fire of Jerry Lee Lewis story, and I became crazy. I became passionate with piano, and he had a interesting performance, and this motivated me to play and to search for music in my life. With 17 or 18 years old, I started to hear more Brazilian music. My brother Antonio, he used to hear classical music, but when I was this age, he started hearing Brazilian music, and he was always showing me some artists like Tom Jobim, Chico Buarque, and he was always showing me some lyrics, something to analyze. Chico Buarque has very rich lyrics in his music, and he was worried if I was paying attention and analyzing and interpreting it. Then he was a big influence to me in music. He didn't play anything, but he always used to hear music, well done music, we say here in Brazil. And when I started to get this interesting Brazilian music, I started to search for teachers, for somebody to teach me the Brazilian music. And here in São Paulo, like I said, it's a very urbanized place. I didn't found anybody that people like Brazilian music, but I just found jazz teachers, and I had no choice. I didn't know anyone who could teach me this, and I spent so many years searching for these materials, and they were very rare here. I'm now 36 years old, and I can say 15 or 16 years ago, you couldn't find so much material, so much books of Brazilian music. It was very rare, and I started studying jazz with these teachers. And when I was playing something of Brazilian music for one of my friends, he told me something that blew my mind, because I was playing and improvising, and he told me, "You are using so much the blues scale to improvise in Brazilian music, and it's sounding out of language. The blues scale is so attractive, but it doesn't match with the Brazilian sound. Try to search for another solutions." And for me, it was very strange, because I just knew the blues scale, the pentatonics, and another resources, famous resources that we use to improvise in music, in jazz or another pop styles. And this same friend, he told me that there was a pianist, a very interesting musician and important musician here in São Paulo, that played with the Brazilian language, the Brazilian accent. And this pianist was Laércio de Freitas. Laércio de Freitas has an interesting career here in São Paulo. He played with Radamés, that was Radamés in Italy, that was one of the most important names of choro music. And he didn't use these resources, jazz resource, to improvise in Brazilian music. His piano sounded very interesting, in a very Brazilian way, and like a rustic piano, like a root piano. This became one of the things I started to search for my sound. And after that, I had the will to make some classes with him, but Laércio de Freitas, and I can say that a lot of another pianists and musicians, older musicians here in Brazil, doesn't teach. They learned everything at nightclubs, playing with another musicians and hearing for recordings, and they talk about music in an abstract way. And I wasn't capable of learning these concepts in an abstract way. I think I didn't have the talent of these great masters. But one different thing, that's the night, these nightclubs in São Paulo doesn't exist anymore. There is just one place where they do music as 60 or 70 years ago. Then it's difficult to learn music as we learned, as musicians learned in the bossa nova times, or 30, 40 years ago. And I continued searching more teachers for teaching me this kind of sound, the Brazilian sound, and I couldn't find anyone. Then I started to search for the great musicians of my instrument, that's the piano, to interview them, to try to discover some interesting and some new idea I didn't know. And I started this searching, going to a lot of Brazilian music shows, and this experience made me grow up and understand this world of these musicians that learned music with a certain naturality that for me was so difficult to understand. Then I knew César Camargo Mariano, that's an important pianist He was a arranger of Elis Regina, that was one of the greatest singers here in Brazil. I knew Cristóvão Bastos, that it's a very important arranger here in Brazil. He is a arranger of many of the Brazilian stars in music, in Brazilian music. I knew Benjamin Taub, King Paulo Braga, and everybody I could interview and search for some experience or information. I was always searching for them and talking with them. And at the same time I was doing this, my career was happening. I played in some places. I started to play at some nightclubs, at some hotels, and some places of live music. And I have a very interesting experience when I was called to play in a ship. I played in a ship with a Brazilian singers friend of mine, and we've done some cruises between Brazil and Europe and in the Mediterranean Sea and Brazil, and there we knew a lot of musicians from other countries, Italian musicians, Hungarian musicians from Paraguay also, from Argentina, from I'm sorry for the connection problems, and at the end of the gigs, I played much more than they, and sometimes they were at the end of their gigs. They were going to the bar I played at the ship, and they were watching for me. Some of them told me that they never have heard somebody playing the piano like me. And that was because of the Brazilian language. I have a different accent in playing. I have some styles, some ways of comping this singer that they didn't see anywhere. And it was very interesting because they tried to imitate and nothing sounded with this authentic sound that we have here in Brazil. Now I know the reason why this happened, but I realized that I had a different way of playing because this Brazilian influence, and Brazil is so big, it's a so large country that it has different ways of playing different kinds of music. And this experience in the ship, I could travel through the coast of Brazilian coast and discover more of our music. I so many times was in Recife, that is the capital of Pernambuco, in the southeast part of Brazil, and I could hear some frevos, that is a style of carnival there. I heard some maracatu and saw some figures of the maracatu. Sometimes I was at Salvador and I see people playing capoeira, sometimes playing some Afro beats, for example the Afro reggae we call, and I saw some religious music, and that experience I tried to always get more and more, finding some CDs at that time, finding some books, and always researching. And I I had this wheel of searching and trying to discover the roots of Brazil, was the where the music was growing up, was born. All right, and then I started a collection of books and every kind of literature in Brazilian, in this Brazilian music that I could have. I tried to search for books in all places I've gone. And when I returned to Brazil, to São Paulo, from my city, I stopped working at the ship. I didn't want anymore to be there, because I want to return home, to stay near my family. I could find some interesting teachers and interesting people that heard my sound, and they could evaluate my playing. And it was very interesting, because they still were finding the jazz accent, and they showed me. I thought I was sounding old Brazilian all the time, but there was one influence that I got in São Paulo, here for another musicians, and some experiences that I didn't study them properly, but they caused me this influence in jazz. Then I had this experience of musicians correcting me and showing me this way of how to transform my sound in a Brazilian sound, authentic Brazilian sound. Then I started to study and correct my sound to have this sound. Then for me and for a lot of musicians in Brazil, it's very natural to play in a Brazilian way, and that's why I decided to teach Brazilian music, because for me it wasn't natural. Some values of Brazilian music, some details, I didn't have had my attention for these details, and they showed me, this emphasis is important, this accent is important, these details in this kind of music they improvise, this kind of music they don't improvise. They started me showing details that I wasn't capable of realizing then that's why I decided to teach this subject, because I can see a musician without the Brazilian accent and try and cause this transformation. Many Brazilian musicians don't know how to explain. They just know. They just say to you, it's different, you're playing jazz like, but they didn't, they had this so internalized that they can explain what's different. And I was always researching. During this time, I became a teacher, music teacher, and I was always researching for how to teach better and better, researching for neuroscience, researching for techniques, and for some ways of teaching that simple regional musicians teach their families or friends. Okay, then I joined this teaching process with the Brazilian accent, with these details of masters of the piano and another musicians. Then my life today is I have so many students, but I decided to do this channel because my passion in teaching music is in Brazilian music. And if you are curious about that, I'm gonna invite you to join this world with a lot of styles, a lot of environments, a lot of different people and accents. This is the purpose of this channel. If you are interested and if you are a musician and improvise and play and play for professional purposes or just for your fun, join this channel. We're gonna talk about more and more about the Brazilian accent. Okay, thanks for watching. If you have any doubts and if you want to know something about more my story of life, I'm here to answer you. Write in the comments, press the like button, and I'm here for you and for the Brazilian accent. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.